Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another exciting episode of Connected by Broadcom. Today, I have a very, very special guest, another important Broadcom partner, Ed Meyercord, President and CEO of Extreme Networks. Extreme, established back in 1996, really prides itself in connecting enterprises to those that matter most. And among other things, they play a huge role in bringing state-of-the-art Wi-Fi to sports stadiums and other venues across the globe. For me personally, I really love the infographic that Extreme puts out at the end of each Super Bowl. I just love it. Uh, Ed, that's awesome, Ed. Right? Ed joined Extreme in 2009. Is that correct, Ed? And you've been the CEO of Extreme since 2015.
That's it. You got it right, Vijay.
Awesome. And you have a fantastic background in consumer, small businesses, and large enterprises alike. So you're the perfect person to talk about Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I moved around a bit.
I'm so glad to have you on the call today. This is going to be a rather informal chat, Ed. Ask a few questions. It'll run for about 20 minutes. But feel free to interject. If you have any questions for me, glad to answer as well. I think you've been an extremely good strategic partner for Broadcom. We value the relationship with Extreme. I would say connected by Broadcom. You're truly connected by Broadcom. Maybe to start this interview off, you could give me a few words about Extreme and your current focus in your own words.
Well, Vijay, let me just start off and say, absolutely, yes. We are all in Broadcom. I'd say our most important strategic partner. And when you think about it, you mentioned it, enterprise customers today more than ever before. When has connectivity mattered more, right? Mm-hmm. And especially in a distributed environment. And then you think about Extreme and who we serve and our customers, and it's really an impressive list. Around the world, we're in 80 countries. And then you look at healthcare systems, the largest healthcare system in Europe, running on Extreme networks. We're going to talk about stadiums. I know we're going to get into that, but we know when you start getting into NFL and Major League Baseball, and there's a lot more on the way. This resonates really well with consumers and on the wireless side. Manufacturing organizations with Volkswagen, our wireless powers FedEx. Think about the environment that we're in today, right? All the packages that are coming in the COVID environment. Guess what that's running on? Every time you get a package, it's running on Broadcom.
Wow. By the way, I didn't know that.
And you might not have even known that. So all of those, that whole supply chain distribution runs on Extreme, runs on Broadcom. And then I have so many examples. I get really excited when I start talking about the customers globally that we have. It's an amazing group. But then when you then play it forward and say, hey, all of this is running on Broadcom technology, is pretty exciting.
It is. And thank you. That's a wonderful introduction. And I guess I can't ask for a better commercial for Broadcom already. So thank you. I want to start off with sports. It's for me, when I think of Extreme, I know you have a lot of customers worldwide. When I think of Extreme, sports pops up almost instantly. So it's an exciting piece for me. I'm sure my audience would love to hear it as well. It's not something that they hear from me on a regular basis. So Wi-Fi and sports and Extreme. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, it goes back, several years, but people that are running stadiums and different clubs that have sports teams realize that, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get people into the stadium, and they want to create an awesome fan experience. And so how do you create the awesome fan experience? Well, in today's world, it's all about connectivity. And so Wi-Fi is essential. And we partner with Verizon, which is interesting. We talk about, the complementary nature of cellular and Wi-Fi. And in many of our stadiums, it's Verizon that's, funding this because they want, their end users to have high quality Wi-Fi connectivity inside the stadium. And it's everything about the fan experience. It's also stadium operations. And as we've evolved, we've taken a very successful relationship with the New England Patriots. That's where it started. Not a bad first customer, given how well they've done over the years. And then it's expanded into the NFL. So we're the exclusive Wi-Fi provider with the NFL. We have 24 stadiums, which are 25 teams that are running on Extreme. And this has become very strategic. This is expanded now into Major League Baseball. We can touch on that in a bit. And then it's expanding internationally. The most valuable sports franchise in the world hasn't been announced yet, but that's soon to be announced. All running on Broadcom.
Oh, wow. Wow. You're getting me too excited about this. Would love to hear about MLB. I mean, I see the one thing that I think of when I talk about sports. For me, I'm a cricket fan. So it would be exciting for me if Broadcom and Extreme Network Equipment's actually powering some of the larger cricketing stadiums out there. I think that would up the notch quite a bit in terms of cricket.
Vijay, for the longer matches, you definitely could benefit from better Wi-Fi.
That's right.
We don't understand that in the US, how these long matches. I think Wi-Fi would be even more important.
That's right.
And it's and you think about what are people doing, and people want to share with their friends that they're in the stadium, so they're streaming high def video. That poses a very interesting challenge. Wi-Fi is very well set up to support that. If you actually look at what's happening today, the teams themselves are leveraging Wi-Fi connectivity for they're running their game day operations, and then the stadiums themselves, concession stands. We were really excited. We've been part of the last 8 Super Bowls.
Yep.
And then with COVID, what happened? There was this acceleration of digital transformation. Everybody's talking about that, okay? But it couldn't be more prevalent than in Wi-Fi. Raymond James Stadium, the Super Bowl, they said, we had plans out in the future to go all digital. This is what we were thinking. But now we're going to fast forward by a couple of years, and we're going to create the first all digital Super Bowl experience. All of it ran on Broadcom. What does it mean? A lot more access points out in the parking lot, because that's where it starts. And then fans coming into the stadium. It was all digital ticketing, all digital concessions. And the whole experience was touchless. And it was important to be touchless because of COVID. And this is just where we've seen the acceleration. And then the importance of Wi-Fi, in this environment. So in the NFL, in our case, it's a club by club sale. We are the exclusive Wi-Fi provider, and then it's also about analytics and having complete visibility to everything that's going on that we get from our Wi-Fi solutions. And this comes from our software. And then we won Major League Baseball during COVID, and then this is where the league controls the technology decision. So we're starting off with 16 clubs, and then we'll have all the clubs. So Vijay, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and soon to be other franchises that we haven't announced yet are all running on Broadcom.
Exciting. I'm curious what's going to happen in the future. No, thank you. I'm super excited to. I'll watch it for news. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next with sports. Now, I don't want to get too technical with you, Ed, but I am curious. My audience certainly would be too. What are the unique technical challenges you typically have in a sports installation?
Well, I think if you think about maybe a regular, maybe a commercial enterprise with Wi-Fi and an environment that is very different when you start entering a stadium environment. So if you think about a carpeted enterprise versus this bowl of a very dense mass of users, and there's a lot of RF challenges that exist by delivering high quality Wi-Fi with so many users in such a concentrated space. So that's I think the first challenge to highlight. You also have a wide range of devices that you have to support with Wi-Fi. So we have to make sure that we're supporting, as I mentioned before, every device that any consumer might bring into the stadium, a fan might bring into the stadium, the team operations, the concessions. When you think about what people are doing with augmented reality, virtual reality tools and simulations, and all of this is going to be running on your Wi-Fi network. So a lot of different a lot of different devices to support in a very, very dense environment. And then you think about how you deploy and how you architect the system. If you're really close to the field, it's a very different environment than if you're way up in the bleachers. So this is our bread and butter. We're better than anyone else in the world at delivering this kind of environment. But these are some of the challenges. And as I mentioned before, Vijay, what's everybody doing with their latest smartphone that has more bandwidth? What are they doing? They're filming.
That's
so
right.
They're filming up, and then they're receiving back, and then they're watching replays. And I'm guessing in the cricket environment, people are going to be betting.
You're
going to be gambling and betting.
Oh my God.
So they want to send videos. They want to place their bets. So you've got a really complicated environment. And I'm pleased to say this is where we shine. We've done very well, and it's been recognized. And that just our performance is unmatched. And again, it goes back to the Broadcom technology. We're very proud of our relationship. I know we're going to touch on Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and being first to market, but this is where we can differentiate. And the bottom line is people expect it to work, and it works. And then we have the ability for analytics to understand and have insights from everything that's going on in that stadium environment, and that's very different from cellular. Cellular does not have the visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we can look at every device, every application running on every device. That sounds a little creepy. That's not really how people are using it, but they want to make sure that the application performance is there, that the important performances are there, all the different camera angles that they're providing for an in-stadium experience are working and delivering, and then the interaction with the scoreboard. All of these things, have to work. And the bottom line is that, we have a better track record than anyone in the industry, and obviously we're relying on your technology.
And there are so many nuances that you touched upon, right? It's not just about it's not just about taking an access point and putting it somewhere in the stadium. You have to plan properly, all the analytics, taking analytics into account, not just for all the services that you're offering to your clients, but also for network planning and whatnot. There's so many, complicated nuances there that you have to get to work. And the fact that it just works, as you said, I think that's just amazing. That's magic.
It just has to work. It is. If only the fans knew what was going on behind the scenes. People are very quick to complain if it doesn't work, right?
That's true. That's absolutely true. No, thank you. That's very insightful. And like I said, I mean, too many complications, too many nuances that you're able to get to work flawlessly, and that's where I think the extreme advantage comes in. So, thank you.
And and I mentioned Verizon. It's also the handoff, right? So Verizon customers seamlessly hand off to Wi-Fi.
Right.
And so that saves Verizon a lot of money, takes away a lot of congestion from the cellular network.
Absolutely.
And so, as a result, and this is an interface that we built, but again, it's Broadcom technology where end users are just seamlessly transferring onto Wi-Fi. That's another unique capability, that handoff.
And then you also have to look at the changing traffic patterns, really, right? I mean, people, as you said previously, maybe they were simply consuming content in a stadium. Now, taking photos, sending them to Instagram or live streaming, all of that happens.
It's not asymmetric. No, they're going both ways.
Yeah.
And Vijay, what happens, in the off season? They have these big empty stadiums. So what do? They have concerts.
Right.
Do you know where we get the most traffic? We get the most traffic at a Taylor Swift concert. Because all of the kids, the older generation, a lot of the older, they might have the phone, but they're not necessarily streaming the way the younger generation is using the technology. And that's really when they blow up the bandwidth.
That's right. Especially when somebody walks on the stage.
Everyone's filming.
Everybody's clogging it, right? That's just incredible.
That's right.
So talking of all the incredible technology there, I just wanted to ask you this question. You, as you said, you've embraced the Broadcom angle, truly connected by Broadcom. There's a technology element that Broadcom brings and co-works together with Extreme to get to your customers. But as such, what are the advantages that you get, in terms of working with Broadcom, and how does that translate to your customers?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, when you think about us not having to design our own ASICs, and we're getting a programmable chipset, and so we can just focus on the applications and the software for the solutions that we're delivering to our end users and our customers. So first of all, that's big. I would say several years ago we were lagging behind, and then we got involved with the Broadcom Early Access Program, and now we're out in front. So we're partnering, we're working with your engineers in the development and the training, and we're first to market. And I know it's a little bit of a segue, and I'm jumping ahead because we were first with Wi-Fi 6E, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
But this matters for us. So it's the leading edge technology. I would also say because of Broadcom's leading position, we get attractive pricing, and favorable economics, and we are also first to market with the early access program. So it means that we can bring sort of the next gen technology, before some of our competitors, and it creates competitive differentiation for us. It creates a better user experience, customer experience, and so these are some of the benefits that we've got. I would also say it's a very difficult supply chain today, and Broadcom has been a very important partner for us in mitigating the supply chain issues.
And thank you for all those kind words. I think there is some draw and some magic to sort of working together, at different levels, including all the way from the top down to the engineers, to collaborate and come up and actually deliver leading technology to our customers. I think there's a draw to it and there's some magic to it. So I do appreciate all the partnership that we have with Extreme along these lines, and that's just incredible. And talking of incredible technologies, you mentioned this just a minute ago. You worked with us on Wi-Fi 6. Now you launched something more magical, which is Wi-Fi 6E, first to ship Wi-Fi 6E. For me, that's incredibly exciting because I've been one of those cheerleaders for Wi-Fi 6 and 6E all these years, at least the last couple of years. How exciting is it in your own way?
I mean, Vijay, I just if you look at our product teams, they are just, they're evangelists in a huge way. And these are people who've been in the Wi-Fi space for many, many, many years. And, their view is that maybe the market's missing it a little bit, that this is huge. This is huge in terms of the bandwidth, and what it means for bandwidth, in terms of what does it mean in terms of performance, and what does it mean in terms of our ability to support many different environments, higher quality, higher secure, or more secure connectivity, lower latency, across the board. The teams are just saying this is a major deal. It's kind of a revolutionary time for Wi-Fi, and it's kind of gone under the radar a bit.
Yeah, it's sort of a pivot point, literally, right? So for Wi-Fi, I think you talked about these use cases where people are uploading, and this is where Wi-Fi 6 and 6E bring their magic. They're sort of designed from the bottom up to go deliver to all those exciting use cases that you can think of, right? So that's just awesome, and congratulations on your product launch. I think and wish you all the best as you're looking to go get these devices in the hands of more of your customers. We'd love to see Wi-Fi 6E proliferate. Nothing like it that would bring joy to me.
Yeah, we think it will, Vijay. Our first customer, and we were pleased to be the first to ship Wi-Fi 6E. We've talked about that. Massive healthcare organization, and from their Wi-Fi, and you think about a clinical environment or a healthcare environment. Do you know a medical device that's not connected to the network? You think about IoT, right? You think about in a hospital, it's probably the most connected building in terms of just absolutely everything, having a network connection. And that really is the future of healthcare. If you're running a network, and then not only do you have within sort of the main hospital complex, but then you have all these distributed facilities and locations. You're standing up COVID testing sites, and you want to bring all these applications, and then you want to stand up all these devices in an environment. Right. This next level Wi-Fi is in high demand, and we think that it's going to take off very quickly.
And I look forward to it. I can't wait. So good luck with that. Sort of switching gears very quickly. I know that when you have a lot of CIOs that you talk to on a very, very regular basis, for Wi-Fi installation and so on, do you get to hear them ask you about 5G and what's their view on 5G versus Wi-Fi 6? Do you have a position on that? What would you tell my audience?
I know people, the question is it complementary? Is it competitive? Is it something else?
That's right. Always the case, and it's like a lot of times as the overstated death of Wi-Fi, as I call it. So,
well, I give you the example of Verizon, right? And the head of Verizon Wireless saying, like, all of like our indoor deployments, et cetera, like this is, we're going to leverage Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is here to stay, and Wi-Fi is going to continue to grow. I think there are much more favorable economics for them, and then with some of the newer technologies, there's much higher performance. So, we see it, very much as complementary. And we see the two also supporting each other. If you look at newer applications and you look at some of the smart city applications, and you look at maybe like smart cars, a smart car is not going to be driving through a city connecting to local Wi-Fi networks, right? So there are going to be different use cases.
Exactly.
The overall market is growing, and so we see it as somewhat complementary, and there's room for growth, with both technologies. I think for your traditional Wi-Fi deployments, there's not really going to be a compelling reason to change. I would say for most of the market. I think for some of the newer applications, and as you look at sort of outdoor environment, smart city environment, these you might see more of an adoption of a 5G or a private 5G network technology. And then we see the technologies working together.
Correct. I mean, these short summaries, exactly. They work together. They're complementary. There are going to be orthogonal use cases where each adds value. So, I think
if you look at it from a broadband perspective or from a cellular network perspective with 5G, and this is what our partner Verizon has said is it just means there's going to be a requirement for more bandwidth, which means more Wi-Fi. Like
that's right.
That 5G network is good because it means that you're going to need to support higher bandwidth on the Wi-Fi network.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I think it aligns very well with how we see the world on this. I have one last question before I let you go. This is very straight. What's next for Extreme? Right? You launched Wi-Fi 6E, but that's more to come. Obviously, I think you had a recent acquisition as well.
We closed. Your timing is great, Vijay. We closed today on a cloud-driven SD-WAN company called Ipanema, and they have what we would call sort of the latest generation SD-WAN technology, and this is about the edge of the network moving. So no longer is the edge of the network with Vijay sitting in an office at Broadcom. So enterprises are increasingly taking responsibility for their employees, their end user customers, wherever they are. And so as a result, we see that the traditional edge of the network changing. And most likely, this is not just a shameless plug for Wi-Fi, most likely the edge of the network is going to be in a Wi-Fi environment. So this becomes very important for enterprises that want to deliver a consistent user experience. It means that you're going to have to focus on this moving edge of the network in a more distributed environment. And so it's becoming for us more and more about software. So we have software that we develop for our solutions with Broadcom, and then we look at new software applications that we bring to customers, trying to deliver that high quality user experience, secure user experience wherever they are. And so I would say that's the future for us. It's cloud driven. We have the highest quality cloud in the industry. We have a cloud native architecture. And so we're in a position, probably better position than any of our competitors, to deliver sort of cloud native software services to support the end user experience in the network, the more distributed network of the future. We call it the infinite enterprise because the edge is no longer a health clinic, a branch office. The edge of the network is you, wherever you are. That's right. Most likely that's going to be running over Wi-Fi.
That's right. And thank you for that. I think you've stepped back and given me a very, what should I say, an overall system view of things. Well, it's not just about that enterprise access point, that box, or the devices that talk to it. Look at it holistically, and it's an entire system that sort of runs with Wi-Fi as the bread and butter. So that's just incredible. The way your your vision makes absolute sense. So thank you for that, Ed. I appreciate the conversation today. Thank you for all the time you spent. Was a very high energy conversation. I love talking to you on these topics. I think we should get together for a more detailed sharing of notes at some point in time.
Vijay, anytime. We're here, and always happy to do that for you and for Broadcom.
Thank you so much, Ed. Appreciate it. And thanks for your time today. Talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That was Ed Meyercord from Extreme Networks. Hope you all liked it. If you liked it, please feel free to share this on your feeds. And if you want to continue to hear more about Wi-Fi, please feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and get continuous updates on Wi-Fi and all these other exciting topics. Thank you all so much.